What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Chris Gunther Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. Remember to like and share this video. I would greatly appreciate it. On today's show, I am very honored to be chopping it up with who I believe is the next face of ESPN. Without any further ado, the Chris Gunther Show welcomes Miss Monica McNutt. Monica, how you doing?
I'm good, but Chris, that's a whole lot of pressure you just put on me right there.
I mean, with the kind of work that you do, though, and I mean, you on everything, I think it's safe to say that. Just my humble opinion.
Well, I'm flattered. You give me something to reach for.
I appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. Thank you for taking this time out. We met at All-Star Weekend. I was working an event there, and I'm going to just go ahead and be honest. One of my goals was to meet you. So I'm glad that I got that checked off of my goal list.
Wow. Again, the flattery continues. I don't know why. I'm just super regular. I'll be running my mouth to TV.
Ain't nothing wrong with being regular. I'm a regular dude too. That's how we get down. All right.
Outstanding. I apologize for the noise here in New York.
Hey, it's New York. I live in Ohio. Noise is kind of what we're accustomed to.
There you go.
Well, so let's go ahead and get right into it. You know, the WNBA finals are going on, and I'm pretty sure people have been wondering, where have you been? Have you just kind of been chilling on vacation? Because I know last year you were covering it, correct?
Last year I did the same thing. I went up until the semifinals, and then LaChina Robinson moves off of games and into the studio, and I go on my merry little way.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, you are a very busy woman. I just saw the sit down you did for MSG, like real fast. Like, what even made you decide to get into the broadcasting business?
I was a college athlete, and I wanted to stay connected to sports, but I didn't see where I would have a professional career. And so being able to tell the stories of my peers at the time and athletes, because I know all that had gone into trying to be successful, was the next best thing.
Yeah, speaking about you being a college athlete, you know, you played for Georgetown, you know, shout out to you guys. You made it to the Sweet 16. What was your college experience like?
I had a blast in college. I think being a student athlete was absolutely formative. It honestly set me up for my career, as we're discussing. But I just made incredible relationships, experiences that will stay with me. And not just in terms of the memories that were made, but the critical thinking required, and understanding leadership, and kind of being mindful of the needs of my different teammates, just how all of those things play out in my daily life. Now, honestly, I think self-awareness is probably one of the biggest things I took away from my experience as a student athlete. And of course, I mean, my Hoya family is incredible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And to see the amount of work that you do, but how much you have grown since then is truly remarkable. Take me back to your upbringing. You know, like, you know, I believe you're a native of Maryland.
Yep. Prince George's County, Maryland. Suitland, Maryland is where I grew up. My parents still have a home there. They still live there. Yeah, I mean, pretty simple upbringing. My dad was a high school basketball official. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the game of basketball. But I'm blessed to say that both my parents were present and very active in our lives. I have one younger sister. Yeah, I mean, we just had a good life.
And I was doing a little bit of research, and I had found something that I thought was very cool. Your parents would not let you quit anything. So what you started, you had to finish. And I guess your Saturdays were filled with you doing ballet and basketball.
Oh yeah, that was my parents' thing pretty early on. Like, if we start something, we're gonna finish it. You may not return to it after that calendar season or whatever the responsibilities are fulfilled, but you gotta finish. And so before I was committed to basketball, we were in dance. We were dancers. We danced at a dance company called Spirit Wings. And I remember saying to my mom in sixth grade, like, Mom, I get it, and dance is teaching me discipline and footwork, but I really want to focus on basketball. And so for a stretch there, it was a combination of the two. And then I think both my parents assessed that my commitment was legit, and we were able to move to focusing on basketball.
I love it. You know, I'm a huge basketball fan myself. I played a whole lot, didn't really play in college because I wanted to start doing a lot of media and broadcasting things. You know, I was pretty good, but I wasn't good enough to go to Georgetown. What was it like playing there?
Georgetown was special for me. I had gone up to Georgetown's campus during the summers to go check out the Kenner League. My dad was a huge John Thompson the second fan, John Thompson Jr. fan. And so we watched Georgetown basketball in my house. And we went to games when we had the opportunity. And so I had two sort of different philosophies when it came time for me to make my decision. My mom wanted me to get the best education possible, right? If you're going to get the scholarship, she's like, look at Princeton. I'm like, oh, Princeton. My dad, secretly, I didn't know this at the time, but now he says he didn't want me to go to a football school, which is like, okay, Dad, whatever. And, you know, he wanted me to have the opportunity to play and contribute and enjoy my experience as an athlete. And so for me, Georgetown was sort of the meeting of the two worlds or the two philosophies. And I remember saying, you know, if I want to pretend like I go to school in Africa, I can. But if I want to go home and wash clothes and get a home cooked meal, that's also an option. And I didn't want to make it difficult for my family to support me because they have been a huge part of my success in getting to Georgetown. So that's how we landed on Georgetown and playing there. It was interesting, Chris. Our program, we were in the old Big East at the time. So that's when Marquette, West Virginia, Louisville, Rutgers, who else was in our big, UConn. You had like 6 teams that were ranked. Notre Dame was still in the Big East. Yeah, so those are the 6 teams that were ranked. And here we are trying to navigate. So it was no joke. It was the gauntlet. I had to grow up as a basketball player and as a young woman relatively quickly. But I'm so thankful for my head coach at the time, Terry Williams-Fennoy, my teammates who are dear friends to this day. It was cool. It was cool. I mean, nothing in life is without its challenges, even the things that we enjoy. Mm-hmm. But it was cool. I look back on it fondly.
You had mentioned challenges, and just like you said, there's nothing in life that comes without some type of challenge. You went through a lot of challenges, you know, your ups and your downs. What were some of the early challenges that you faced post-graduation? Because I had read something about at one point you didn't necessarily have a job in broadcasting, so you were just trying to do something to pay the bills. So, you know, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Oh, man. So I think getting my first job was probably, I thought it was the most challenging until I had to deal with layoffs. I am by nature an energetic and optimistic person. And I reflect now on graduating from Georgetown and even finishing up my master's at the University of Maryland. And there was, with youth comes a little bit of naivete, right? It's just part of the process. And so I think between my optimism, my energy, and being naive, I thought things would happen faster than they did. And so landing that first job was sort of a beast. But once we got it going, I was like, okay, we have momentum. There's no turning back. And then getting laid off was another beast. And I'm really having to learn how to freelance. I think so much of my focus in grad school was honing these skills to go and get a job. And we didn't really discuss how to effectively freelance and build a life in that way. So it was real-time learning when I had to freelance and figure it out and substitute teach and teach cycle classes and just do whatever I could to keep moving forward. So those are challenges that stand out for sure.
From cycling classes and substitute teaching to you being on major sports and networks, you know, someone like myself finds that to be extremely inspiring and extremely incredible. What advice would you give to someone like me that has a desire to want to work in, you know, sports and things of that nature and ultimately get to the level that you're on and on that kind of platform?
I think you just got to keep moving forward. And I know that is not specific, but I would be lying to you if I told you I had the manual that is a surefire way to success. It's not like that, right? I think all of us have our different paths. We have the different things that make us unique, and we're presented with different opportunities. And so I think if you assess an opportunity or a decision and say, this moves me forward, or I believe this moves me forward, then do that, right? But it's certainly not always linear. It often looks very much like a set of monkey bars, a jungle gym, whichever phrase you prefer. But I think slow motion is still motion. Forward motion is motion, right? Like you just got to continue to grow. And if you believe that it's going to happen, then you go after it. But I'm also in that same breath. And to me, this is not contradictory. They are ideas that coexist. There's a pliability that comes with it. I would want people to live a happy life that they enjoy and that they are proud of. And I had a professor in grad school that said, life has a way of dictating where you need to be. And I think that's true. If you have the wherewithal to pour your energy into chasing this dream, cool. But if you need to shift a little bit and chase this dream on the side because of your main job or your family or whatever, that's also cool too. So you really have to do it in a way that honors you.
In terms of honoring, everybody has somebody that they would like to honor or somebody that helped them along the way. Who are some of the people that helped you out during this process? Because I believe people like Maria Taylor and Jamel Hill, they, publicly, gave you some love on social media. And I think some people kind of started to really, get some buzz around you. So who are some of the people that, in a sense, helped you along the way?
Oh, man, so many people. I mean, those two in particular, that boost of confidence from them came at a time where I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep pushing in this space. Like, I was ready to go teach high school English and coach basketball on the side and see if this media thing would come back around. And we were not close at the time. Maria and I didn't hardly know each other. I had met Jamel a couple times at that time, but just the word of encouragement meant a big deal to me. But they're not the only ones. I mean, LaChina Robinson is someone who I look up to a tremendous deal, and she's literally left positions and brought me to the table to replace her. I think my peers across the industry now, Chloe Pavlik, who's now an assistant at Baylor, when she was in media, she's on the Baylor women's basketball staff now. She tipped me off to a job. Cameron Smith, who's like a brother to me, he's in Chicago. I think about all the folks in DC who have supported or given me an opportunity. Ben Standig, Michael Lee, just so many people, Kevin Merida. Gosh, the list goes on and on and on and on. And I'm probably missing so many names. I mean, Jasmine Ellis, who started Unseen Productions with under Eric Rydholm, but this was her brainchild to help diverse candidates get the reps that they would need so they would be prepared for shows like Around the Horn. Just a visionary in her own right. And so there's so many people, Chris. There's so many people.
That's all right, though, because with everything that you do, it's great to know that, you had some people vouching for you and you had people that, in a sense, wrap their arms around you to encourage you, let you know that, hey, this is possible. What was it like for you when you first started working on shows like Around the Horn and First Take?
It's a little surreal. It's definitely a little surreal. I think I told this the day that Aaron Solomon, who's the producer of Around the Horn, the day he called me, I thought it was a robocall, a scam call. So I literally, in the privacy of my home, getting ready to go to the bathroom, answering this call, please take me off this list. He's like, hello? I'm like, hello? This is Aaron Solomon, the producer of Around the Horn. I said, oh, hey.
This is real.
Right, hey. And so, Tony Reale is incredible in that project, and all the panelists are great. They've all truly embraced me, but Tony takes particular care of that project, and Aaron and Josh Bard and our researcher Caroline, and there's so many people on that staff that make that show fantastic. And so I think for me, those first few episodes, it was a stroke of luck and some divine design, I guess, that I joined the show, I think in March, which is basketball season, which is money time for me. So I was very confident and I had been hustling. And so I remember feeling like, oh, wow, I really have something to add here. I'm sitting amongst people that I've admired for so long. So yeah, I'm very thankful for what I get to call how I make my living, my job.
It's a great job to have. It's something that people like myself are still grinding and still striving for. And I remember when I met you at All-Star Weekend, one of the first things I said to you, might not remember this, but I definitely do. I said, I love watching you go toe to toe with Stephen A and actually winning those debates.
You know what, Chris? It's so funny because sometimes I feel like, did I win those debates? There are times where I definitely get sunned, right? Like Stephen A is OG at this. Even not just Stephen A, some of the other folks that joined that show. They got a perspective that I'll be like, dang, you right, I'm wrong. And then there's some days I come with it. I just think, to me, being able to have conversations is so fun. And I take a lot of pride in being a woman with a voice.
Literally, being a woman in a voice, particularly a Black woman in media, is not an easy thing, but you do it with a lot of grace and you do it with a ton of class. That is not something that a lot of people see. How does that make you feel?
What part? What do you mean?
being a Black woman in this industry and doing everything that you do with grace and class?
I don't know if it's my Twitter settings, Chris, or the filters on my Instagram. I know for sure I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's just not where I choose to dwell, because everybody ain't my cup of tea either. Okay.
Correct.
And so I think for me, I'm always careful when we have these conversations to point out that there is nothing about who I am that I would change. Not a single thing. Right. And so I celebrate all that I am in whatever space that I'm in. Do I walk into a room and look around and acknowledge Black people, women? For sure. But am I going to walk out of said room if I'm one of the minority? No. And so it is something that I carry with me, but I see it as a privilege, right? Like, do I show up to a show and think I'm representing all Black women? Sometimes, yes. But do I also know that that's not necessarily realistic? And in that moment, I need to be the best version of myself based on the preparation that I've done? Yeah. And then the chips fall where they may, in my mind. And so I am one of my favorite parts of my job is to be an inspiration to folks that look behind me, and hopefully leave the door cracked a little bit for somebody coming behind me, make it just a little bit easier.
Hey, well, you're definitely inspiring this young kid from Ohio. That's for sure. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there right now. Couple quick hitters before we get out of here, because I understand you're a very busy woman. You actually have a fundraiser going on right now, correct? Can you tell us about it?
So it's not my fundraiser in particular, but it is with Good. What's my phone? Yeah, Good DC, right? And so these are it's 4 brothers from Georgetown. 3 of them play football, I believe, but they run the organization Good Projects in DC, which is, they are my Hoya brothers. And so the organization focuses on helping underserved communities in the Washington, DC area with a plethora of stuff. But this particular fundraising that we're doing is a back to school fundraiser, raising money for supplies. But the part that I love about this one that makes it a little bit different from other back to school drives is this money is going to go to support tutoring services in the fall throughout the first semester or first and second quarter of school. I'm not sure what high schools and elementary schools operate on, but anyway, it's going to support tutoring services, because I think sometimes we drop goods off and roll out as opposed to working on building a relationship that helps sustain success. And so I'm really proud to be a part of that with the Good Projects.
Building relationships is certainly key, and that's something I've learned along this journey. Before we go ahead and jump off of here, what are some of the projects that you have coming up that the people can look forward to?
You know what, Chris, I ain't got no projects. I'm still trying to get out of summer mode because I've had an amazing summer.
Yeah, you did. I follow you, so I kind of know what you was doing just a little bit.
I had an amazing summer. I guess I'm not sure when this conversation will drop, but today is September 16th. We'll probably be wrapping up our WNBA Twitter Spaces, which I've been able to host all season alongside my girl, Ari Ivory. And October, we getting back to basketball. The Knicks open their season October 19th in Memphis. Their home opener is October 21st. So, I guess my biggest project is getting ready for the NBA season.
Yeah, same here. My condolences to you Knicks, because I know y'all almost got Donovan Mitchell, and now he's with Cleveland. Just saying.
Well, listen, I don't need condolences. I don't think that it was going to be smart to do that. So I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to be smart either, simply because Donovan, not saying he's a top 10 player in the league, but he's one of the best players. The Knicks have a hard time landing people simply because the Knicks are not a good basketball team. Conversation for a different day, just saying.
I love when people say conversation for a different day and you just really open up a can of worms. I will just counter your point and say it is still a brand that carries great weight. I still believe that it's only a matter of time in the right situation. I think Jalen Brunson is going to be a big plus. And while I'm not 100% sure how drastically the difference will be calculated in wins and losses, I think you'll see a lot of growth with a true point guard and on this squad.
I agree. Brunson had a really great playoff run last year, so it's nice to see him get his money and see what he can do. Last 2 questions. The first one, who would you like to see as a guest on the Chris Gunther show? And if you have any connect, do you think you can help a young brother out?
Oh, man. Gosh, that's a great question, Chris. I mean, I just mentioned my homegirl, Ari. She's, killing it, representing women's sports all the time. In fact, she calls the NBA the MNBA. Ari would be great. She's a wonderful podcast host. And then I gotta think beyond that. I gotta see about people's schedules before I start suggesting them.
Yeah, these schedules is real, but you know, if your homegirl is watching, and if you know the one of the OGs of ESPN, Michael Wilbon, if he sees this, holla at your boy. Just saying. But you know,
holla at your boy. You know how I go. You think my schedule's crazy? Wilbon's schedule is crazier, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure it is too. But I got you. I chopped it up with Stephen A. couple weeks ago. Hey, I'm shooting my shots at this point. Anything can happen.
I'm not mad at that, my brother. That's the way you gotta live.
Literally. If anybody wanted to follow you, how can they do that?
All right. Everything is McNutt.Monica. Wait a minute. That's my email. Hold on. Everything is McNutt Monica. It's no dot. McNutt Monica on all the socials.
Hey, I feel honored because you gave me a follow back. So I appreciate
it. No problem, Chris. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Same here. Ladies and gentlemen, Monica McNutt on the Chris Gunther Show. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next time.